think I'm coming up to the 39 mark this week, actually. What about yourself?
I'm on 10. I've got old Davy McGrogan down there and all down Easter Road.
Davy McGrogan?
He's a troublemaker, you know.
What's going on over here?
Black Ash on its own.
Oh, yeah, it's looking a bit suspicious to me.
How's the motor?
Right.
How's the motor?
Eh?
How's the motor?
Place your hands on the vehicle, please. Oh, that's actually quite a good tune you've got there, man. Oh, you!
Fuck that, man. Fucking do myself in. That's tune though, by the way. Welcome back to the Back2Back podcast with myself, Nick Checketts, and Paddy the Rego. How are you, my man?
Not too bad. It's been a while since I've last seen you. It was actually, I think it was the last episode where we actually probably catched up.
I know, so we'd like to just say a massive thank you to everyone who tuned in to the first episode. We got over 1,000 plays and listens.
Had an amazing time doing it.
Yeah, and we'd like to also say we'd like everyone to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you can. I never thought I'd be saying that, you know, being a YouTuber now, eh? But yeah, it's free to do, and we've got a lot coming up, a lot planned for the next year or so.
And it means a lot to us as well if you do it. I know it takes 2 seconds to do it, but it means a lot to us. What's new with you, Nick? What's been happening?
So I have been just stuck in the house as everyone else. Producing music. I've started a new alias and called Dubs 96.
Yeah.
So since the last time, obviously I hadn't had that alias, so I've started producing.
Have you been sending out tunes or?
So I have got about 8 tracks ready, but they've all just getting the masters back now. So waiting to send them out to labels. I've had a couple. I've sent them actually to one label so far. And they came back saying they liked it.
Good response, hopefully.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that. And obviously what else I've been doing? It's been snowing. I went skiing in Perth.
The golf courses.
Yeah, and I got a few comments on Instagram, people saying I was a bit out of breath on the video. But you know, there was no toes, so I had to sort of go up the hill myself.
Needs must.
Yeah. So what about yourself?
Nothing much really interesting, to be honest. Just been working away, been doing some stuff, doing more hip hop kind of production, so been working with rappers, a bit more interesting for me, a bit more unique. But apart from that, it's been pretty quiet, been stuck in the house, just making the most of what I can do.
Yeah. Obviously we've been planning this, and we've got
working hard behind the scenes to get this together.
We've got obviously, you know, our first episode, we weren't like. Obviously, we had a vision of what we wanted to do with it, and it turned out pretty well. And obviously,
really happy with how everything went to plan.
Now we've kind of got a vision. We've got a trip planned down to London.
Yeah.
And
we've got big things planned for this. So.
And obviously, we want to make a massive mention to our sponsor, Jägermeister.
Jaeger.
As you can see, we've got some merchandise there, custom merchandise. And you know, tell us a bit about Jägermeister. I mean, what? Do you use it a lot? Use it.
I mean, well, not recently. I've not really been drinking much, but I can probably say by the end of this podcast, that bottle might be done.
As soon as I wake up, I have a shot of Jaeger.
Straight away.
Yeah.
Straight up, shot of Jaeger.
As soon as I wake
up.
Get
the energy in you.
Every day I wake up and have a shot of Jaeger. And also, you know, we've got quite a good couple of guests coming up.
Yeah, definitely. We've got some good variation of people lined up.
We've had a few people who've been a bit too shy to come on. We've got to mention that. Obviously, it's pretty intense to get interviewed by us.
I know.
So, you know, obviously too shy to come on. But one guy who's not too shy to come on is our next guest.
Mr. Ewan McVicar, if you'd like to come through, please.
What's happening?
Yeah. How you doing? Good.
To see you, lad.
You getting on?
Yeah, good mate. Just finished my cereal with a Jägermeister in it just there, mate. So
I
I'm
know,
ready to
so-
go, aye.
How did you find the sketch we did at the start? Obviously,
Yeah, it must have been a bit
Bit
of a
sketchy,
culture
mate,
shock.
to be fair, aye. Sketch, aye. But PC Numpty and PC Pod, aye. It was good to be fair, aye.
so we got
Put the
these
effort in though.
those police uniforms there. We got these. I bought them from.
Yeah, there's a bit of a story behind that one. isn't
So
there?
I was looking around for the police outfits and I couldn't really find anything, but I found this site and I thought it was a fancy dress site, and I just put my details in, ordered these 2 police vests, which I'm sure everyone will see on the
On the
on the
intro.
sketch, and then the boy that runs the store emails me soon after, says, "Thanks for your service. Your order's on your way." I'm like, "Thanks for my service." I says, and then I go and look at the website. It says for serving police officers only. So it looks
So, I
like
mean,
we.
technically you've been arrested, but well, you're tempted to arrested by an official police officer.
So they thought you were an actual police.
Aye. So
Well,
yeah, they thought I was, and we've obviously got we don't hold back on this show.
Yeah.
So
We're
we get the
fucking
best.
right.
We get the best, and you're one of the best. And so have you ever been arrested before?
No, I haven't actually. No,
No, I thought you would.
personally,
Apart
nah.
from about half an hour
a
ago.
few close calls, but aye. To be fair, I managed to get away from you. You're a bit slow, lads.
I've been
Couple of fatties.
I've been running, but I've got the shin splints, so that's probably
right,
why.
yeah,
But
I
anyway,
forgot that.
Yeah, tell us about yourself. Day
Um,
one, how did you get into all this?
So music wise, I'll take you right back to the start. So
as
growing
James
up,
English would say,
that's aye. Anyway, right back to the start, I was like exposed to sort of dance music for my mum doing the spring cleaning. Literally, I'd be sitting there in my boxers playing the PlayStation 1, and my mum would have just tunes blasting when she's doing the cleaning. And I'm like, what is that,
like
mum?
GBS?
What's
So
it-
it's
yeah,
been
so
drilled into you from
so-
a young age.
yeah. So my mum would listen to like she would listen to like house, but then like Insomnia would come on, and it would be trance and like acid house, and then there would be like garage as well. And like that was the first sort of time I was like, what is that? Like that was just, I never heard anything like it before. And then as I got older, my big brother heavily influenced me with rap and hip hop. I grew up
Right,
in
okay.
rap and hip hop, and that was the first sort of time I was like, oh, I'm obsessed with music here. Like it was back in the LimeWire days, and I had to have every tune first. Like before it even like came out over here, it was out in the States. So I'd be sitting LimeWire typing in like weird artist names to
Aye.
try and
I'll
find
deal
out.
with those viruses after.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there like I got G Unit sneakers because I was mad into G Unit, and I had like G Unit sneakers with the wee spinny like circle medallion thing on them, and then baggy jeans, and I'd love to see photos of me back then. It was horrendous. And then after that sort of obsession with like rap and hip hop, I kind of carried over, and then I started a primary teaching course at uni. So I did 5 years at uni, got a degree as a primary teacher.
Oh, really?
But during my time at uni, I was DJing for money. I was started PRing, and as I was PRing, I was standing like I was PRing in air, freezing cold and pissing rain. And I'm like, I'm getting paid peanuts.
it's shite
And it's
PR.
Aye, so it's like I can't.
I mean-
like I would rather be in warm and doing something that I love, like playing tunes. So the club I was PRing for, I said to the DJs there, I was like, how did you just get into this? Like,
Who was the club? Who was the club?
It
Yeah,
was called Furies. It's so I'll get onto it later, but it's like down like a place called the Nile Courts. There's a big archway, and then you go down the archway, and that's the club I started PRing for. But it's also the club that I ran my first night. So like we ran our first night called 10. I've got the logo. I don't even think I'll be able to get it out for the camera, but the logo. See the logo there?
Aye.
Nice
Don't know
to close up of that.
Right, so see that arch there? That's the Nile Court, the arch I was talking about. So that was the
Alright,
club
okay,
I started PRing for.
Was that the actual logo for
But that's the logo for my night,
Oh,
because we put it down there as the first one. So like, what's iconic about that bit? And it was the archway, so that's how we made the logo. So I started there, and I asked the DJ, I was like, how the fuck did you get into DJing? Like, I don't even know where to start. Like, I'm doing teaching, by the way. And they were like, what the fuck do you want to be a DJ for? So I was like, show me, like, where did I start? And then they said this was our very first mixer, and it was this, like, tiny wee metal Hercules mixer, right? And they were like, this is how we learned. So was it right sound? And he said, get a laptop, get Tractor, that's what runs best on it or whatever. So I had my uni laptop, it was an HP Mini, and it like crashed every time I tried to mix,
No,
right?
mate, I had that like.
Honestly,
Is
horrendous.
this like
mate.
a wee, like a all-in-one controller thing? Like
Yeah,
tiny
yeah,
fellas,
but like
yeah.
the jog wheels are genuinely like
Like wee
that
suckers.
size, mate, tiny, right? So I'm like, I just put the ironing board up, 2 PC speakers, and this mixer and laptop, and I just started like trying, and I was doing it with my mate at first, and then he kind of just like lost interest in it, but I was like in my room all the time. My mum's banging through, turn that shite off and all that, like,
Mum,
just
that you
fucking,
should
I
do
know
this.
exactly. So I started like mixing, and then that's when I I was mixing hip hop at first because that's what I was into, and then there was a girl, like this popular girl at school was having her 18th at the local club, like the bigger club, not the one I was PRing for.
Yeah.
So the bigger club came to me and were like, do you want to do her birthday? And there was a room called Room Red, and it was like the only sort of place you could get away with a cool vibe in here. The rest was all just like UK top 40
The commercial
chart
kind of
music,
vibes,
yeah. So I said, I'll try it. Like, I've not been out my bedroom, but I'll try it. And I mixed hip hop. And then after that night, they were like, we want you in every Wednesday, Sunday. And I was like, I've only done this as a one-off, mate. Like,
Yeah.
like shitting myself. And then when you're DJing hip hop, it's just a natural progression to start mixing electronic music because it's easy. There's
You
an
just
intro,
chuck on a 4-beat
and
loop.
that's
eh?
it, exactly. But with hip hop, it's all in 16 bars. With hip hop, 16 bars, you've got an intro, then you probably get vocals and a bridge and a chorus. So it's difficult. It's harder
fast
to
as
mix,
well,
but
it's
it's
really
so
fast.
cool. And it's also a good way that I learned because I was mixing acapellas over different hip hop beats as well. So
Yeah.
for there, I just gained so much knowledge, and I think that set me in good stead to then start mixing electronic music.
Would you
And
say you've
that's
kind
when
of
I went on.
incorporated, say, like the way, like obviously with hip hop music, you're talking about mix. We all know like a hip hop tune's a lot shorter than a house track.
Yeah, for sure.
Would you say that the way you mix now
Yeah,
has been influenced from how you were mixing hip hop?
massively, and I also 100% know that if I hadn't been in a commercial setting before I went on to this, that I would be nowhere near ready to go and read a room. Like, see,
Yeah.
reading
Yeah, I
a
was
room,
just about to say that.
playing commercial music, you have to read the room, and it could be like playing shite tunes like the Venga Boys one night. Do you know what I mean? But see, to put that at the right time for everybody to have a good time, it's the
That's
exact same across the board.
That's exactly
Yeah.
how I started in Perth, the Loft. I remember I was mixing with Virtual DJ actually.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I just sent
We have to start somewhere, mate.
No, I
Still
won't.
does.
And I used to go in with my laptop, Virtual DJ, and I used to play the commercial stuff. And
Yeah.
you know what used to happen? I had this HP laptop. Fucking glad I got it.
Had
And
the exact
it,
same.
HP,
it just used
Exact
to
same, mate.
it just used to crash, and then when you start up again, it would go doo 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 on the sound system
Through the
and
speakers.
your sweat's just pouring off you. And but as
It's
I
part of the mix,
that's
man.
where I started, and then it's as you say, it's perfect to read a room,
It
and I
is.
think that's a lot of DJs don't get nowadays.
Yeah.
They're like, I can't even read a room.
Yeah,
It's half the battle, isn't it?
Well, 100%. But you think nowadays that you can actually make a career out of your bedroom. So if you're mixing a tune, you've never been in a room mixing music to
Yeah.
people, and you can be playing to thousands of folk because you had that hit record. So like, I feel like setting the foundation of actually being in that setting, regardless what music it is, you still need to read the room if you want to. I think if you want to progress properly.
Oh, 100%.
So
yeah.
with me playing hip hop, it was just like I would say we done a hip hop night, and it was the full 5 hours of the night was just hip hop. You need to know what to play, what like at what points, and it's the exact same now. And that from the club playing hip hop and stuff, that's when I started getting a bit of popularity around there, and all the contacts I had from PRing, I would just invite them. Oh, I'm playing tonight. Like, come down.
Do the hip hop stuff. aye.
Yeah.
So
So when-
together.
what-
And then I moved on to the electronic music, and then I done that for the full way I was through uni, and then I got to the
What
end
were
of
some of
uni.
those early tracks? The electro. I know you're 27. I'm 24.
Yeah.
I remember some of the stuff that got me into. It was like that 2010 deep house stuff. Like,
Yeah, like
Yeah, yeah.
What
all
was
the
Dusky-
phase,
Dusky
yeah,
stuff?
what are
yeah,
like some
yeah.
of the tracks that you can remember, maybe that kind of brought you onto
what were
electronic?
your big ones, your go-tos?
No, well, just when the first tracks you heard, and you were like, right, this is the area I want to go down.
Yeah. It was actually the one that sort of, and it relates to what I'm doing just now with the production, because all my like right now I try and put like a modern twist on the old school, but for me that the point of like, oh my god, like I heard this 20 years ago when I was younger, but now it's like so relevant. It was Basement Jaxx Red Alert. And I heard Basement Jaxx Red Alert, and I was like, "Oh my god, that is where I need to be. That's my set. That's where I want to be." And for there, that's just where I went. And it was actually the DJs in Furies who had given me my first mixer. He was a sound engineer, and he'd been at uni and done it. And I said, like, "Could you like show me how to make tunes?" And he's like, "An Ableton god, like honestly, Ableton god." And he was the first person that gave me that intro to Ableton, and then I just like with the decks, I just get so obsessed, and then I just started.
It was like
just
a natural
sitting.
kind of progression of you learning it. Was it a lengthy process, or did you pick it up like?
I think, to be fair, because I'm still learning stuff now, mate. Like you never stop learning, mate. You learn something new every day.
Music, exactly. There's
there's
no rules to it.
Nah, exactly. But I think like a lot of people. Like you've got different avenues now, and folk are so hardware, and it's like that's all we'll make it.
Yeah.
And if you're only
can't afford hardware.
But you're only. But some folks see like you're only real if you only do it in hardware, and then some folk are like you're only real if you only do it in Ableton, and you're only real if you play actual instruments. Whereas like I think I've given myself the freedom to do it all.
Yeah.
And I'll experiment with all, and that's why I just don't overthink it. I'll just go, this is the track I want to make, and this is how it's.
I think it just comes to relevance of what you have available at the time. Because if you look back, say like in the 1990s or like late 80s, when they're like that type of music and hardware was coming about.
Yeah.
People were using what they had to their advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
And now 20 years later on.
Yeah.
It's not. I wouldn't say it's easier. I'd say it's more readily available.
It's more accessible for sure for more people.
But we're just using what we have.
That's it.
Like what we have available at the time.
And that like the scrutiny some people come under for doing it a certain way is just like it blows my mind, because these guys, if you look at like the old school Detroit DJs, right? Yeah. They had minimal stuff to use, and you look at Drexia as well. They only used a few instruments, but they made the most of those. Like they
of what you've got,
studied that and like were obsessed with it, and they made such unique sounds, Drexia especially, and like that, like you said, it's just them making the most of what they had.
Exactly.
And I think
that's
what
experimental.
We all
and I remember you showing us a tune earlier, but you talking about being experimental. And there was one thing I was watching. It was actually after hearing about Daft Punk breaking up.
Yeah.
I came across this video, just in a related YouTube video, about them jumping into a club and they were pulling out the phono cables in the back.
Yeah.
And they were using that as a bass line, simple things like that. Yeah. Like somebody would never think of you just pulling out a phono cord, but getting that buzz. And they were doing that live in a club, and that was a bass line.
I always thought that, in terms of like people, as you say, like being, perceptions about music. I always for years thought like it was looked down upon, like using sampling.
Yeah.
But I think, and then I see,
still.
Yeah, but then I seen a thread, and it was like some massive tunes, and they showed me the real sample, and I was like, my mind was blowing. It's like an art form, I think.
Yeah, well, sample, especially going back to hip hop, like you'll know yourself.
Like, look at Dr. Dre. Like Dr. Dre's one of the most respected producers ever, and every single tune he's made is all from samples.
Samples, yeah.
It's like. That I always relate to Dr. Dre, because every tune I make is always got samples in it.
Yeah.
Because you don't get the same music as you did back then anymore, and taking it from them, it also adds a bit of like
just such a
feel,
something
raw,
a bit more real.
For sure, mate.
Yeah,
rather than
that's
like
the way
electronic sound.
That's my process now. Is I go through like these back catalogues. Buying a lot of vinyl, going through these tracks, like rare sort of swag records, tech house stuff, like really the real tech house.
Yeah.
I'm finding these. Why are you laughing?
Just the real tech house.
Well, it is. Because they've got. I think there's a line that I think
that's again relates back to perceptions though. Like folk have perceptions.
I know. I'm having to contradict myself.
This thing, but then you have a different perception of tech house because you listen to what you think is tech house. Yeah. But like who. The thing that I struggle with is I just sit down and I go, who gives a fuck? Like, it's what you think.
At the end of the day, music, that's what's the beauty about music. It's all down to perception.
Yeah.
Like, there's tunes I'll listen to and I'll be like, oh, you know what, I wouldn't have put that clap or I wouldn't have put, that synth there. But again, that's what that producer at that time thought was right. Yeah. And that's what they were happy with.
That's it.
And
mate.
you've got to accept the fact that that's what they
and
wanted.
And it's them taking in the mood that they're in at that
Exactly.
point, and if that's what they liked at that point, they'll listen to, like, I've got tunes that I've listened back to and I go, what was I doing? But that's how I was feeling at the time, and I made it, so
Yeah.
that is what it is. Yeah.
So obviously, when you're PR in Ayr, what was the, how long were you doing that before you decided to start your night? And what were the decisions for that?
I started PRing when I was 17. I wasn't even aged to go in.
What?
But so I would PR and get all these folk in the club, and then I couldn't even go in. Like, they wouldn't even let me in, right? So but I was like a few months later, I was 18. So that went on 17, 18, and then 19 is when I started mixing, and 19 is when I got that birthday party that kind of set it all off and set it up. And that was called Club de Mar, that club. So Club de Mar was where I started properly, like, progressing and getting right into it. And then I went back to the DJ at Furies, and we started like mucking about with tunes and stuff. And then from there, it was really just like playing the odd gig here and there. And then I'd always wanted to run my night in here because it's where home is. Before, I don't know if you know about street rave, like back in the 90s. Like the 90s, there was a night called Street Rave, and it's what I called the EP after. I named it, like, to pay homage to Street Rave.
But respect to them,
because they're my heroes.
Yeah.
And you need to watch the documentary because these guys are like legends, mate. So
We
Street
chuck
Rave,
that link in there in the bio.
yeah, it's a documentary, but they started in a club called the Pavilion, and it's right on the beach in Ayr.
Hi.
All right, and so they started this night in the Pavilion, and they ran it for, I think, well, they're still running it, to be fair. It's 30 years it's been going.
Yeah, they do like one-off,
So
don't they?
definitely doing something
They do annuals now, because obviously they can't run it as often as they did, but the Pavilion changed hands, and they called it the Hangar 13, the club. And then Street Rave got that big that they had to do like events, and Ice Rink was one of them, which was one of the legendary ones, and they did all these thousands of people. They had Enjoy, K-Class, FPI Project,
So
all like
proper, the old school.
But the roof was like a tin roof, so they couldn't do it in there again because the noise was mental. But the folks said they could hear it from like 4 miles away from where they were. So they did one there, and the reason why they're so like legends to me is because after that they got that big, they had to rent out Prestwick Airport's terminal.
Shit.
And they had a Eurodance rave in Prestwick Airport's terminal. Thousands of folk. You should see the videos, mate. It's mental.
Yeah,
but
definitely need to check that
see
out,
to me though, like, that's being for Ayr. Not much has happened. I've grown up in a scene where it's just chart music.
How old were you when this was all going about?
Well, this is why I brought my mum up, because my mum was working in Hangar 13 while she was pregnant with me, and Alternate were playing at Street Rave. So like that, it's like
literally
mate,
been drilled into you from the womb.
100%, mate. So like from there, it was just like Street Rave. Thinking about Street Rave and what they'd done, and for 30 years there'd been nothing in Ayr that really had any sort of quality about it. It was just like pound drinks, student nights, commercial
Generic
music.
stuff,
Do you know what I mean? And that annoyed me, because I was like, I want to bring a bit of culture back to Ayr. I want to do something. And from that, I approached the guys at Furies, and I'd been DJing. I'd been hopping around all the clubs just DJing. And while I was at uni, finished uni, and I was
Did you pass?
I did. I got a degree, but I said to my mum, I was like, I want to do music, mum. Don't want to be a teacher. She was like, what the fuck do you mean?
You would have been the coolest teacher,
mate. Well,
I would have loved you as a teacher.
Aye, mate, but I don't know. I just wanted to do music. Do you know what I mean? So, and I don't think teaching was ever going to be enough for me. I always had that, like, I'm so passionate about stuff that I do, and music. Teaching had kind of petered out because of music.
Yeah.
So I said, no, I'm sorry, mum. Mum went mental. She was like, you want to do music with it? Do you mean you want to be a DJ? And all
Wooden
that?
spoon was out.
So I ended up starting my own night at that point, because I knew coming out of uni, I've got an opportunity to go and be a teacher. And
So
I just
you
sacked
kinda had
it all.
that plan to
Sacked
fall
it
back
all.
on that.
Yeah, I sacked it all. But folks say you get a plan, but I always never seen it as just like to fall back on, because I was like, no, this is going to work. I'm going to make this work. And then we started 10, and then 10 just became, because we hadn't had that in Ayr for so long, folk were just ganting for it. They were ready for it.
And what was 10 like?
What was it? Why'd
yeah.
you come up with the name?
So 10 relates back to, so my dad died on the 1st of the 10th, 93. I was born on the 10th of the 1st, 94. So it was like swapped around, pure conspiracy theory. And then my papa died, who was like my dad growing up, on the 10th of December. So it was like this thing, like common theme of 10 had followed me around.
Yeah.
And I wanted to flip it and make it like such a positive in my life and remember like different stuff.
Something that especially people ask about.
Yeah. So it meant so much to me, and I think that like then like folk related to it more, and they were so behind it because it never became just another club night because there's so many now. But in here, it became like a movement. It was more like a movement. Like, I can't believe this is happening. And then so we did the first night and a Monday night. All they gave us was a Monday night, Easter Monday, right? Graveyard shift. And 80 folk turned up in Ayr on a Monday night, and that was like unbelievable for Ayr, right? Listen, because like there's you struggle to get a Sunday in here. So we're like buzzing with that. So we're like, we have to do something mental the next one. So we found like music studios. I'll wait till I tell you this is a bit mental. So we got music studios in here that I didn't even know they were there. They were for bands.
Right, okay.
So
just like a rent your space.
Yeah, but it was different rooms for
Yeah.
recording rooms and stuff. So I was like, right, let's do one in there. Said, this is how many tickets we can get. Blah, blah, right. They were like give it the go ahead. And I was like, right, but we can't just do another night. Let's put an illegal rave on after. So like, all right, how do we do this? An afters, we'll call it an afters. And so the week before the event, we'd sold out, and we're like buzzing. And I was like, where can we do this? So we went up to where I used to live, called in fact, I'm not even going to tell you just in case. But we went up.
We are the Polish.
Yeah, I forgot you were the Polish.
Always watching.
And we went up to this like woods bit that was close enough to roads but far away enough that no neighbours would hear that. So we found this clearing, and we just started like making like a wee embankment bit, and we had cleared it all out. It was all flat. And then my mate Stu, he's like he's a Sparky, but he's like the Bear Grylls of Scotland, right?
Stu the Spark.
He starts chopping down trees, and mate, kid you not, right, we're making a clearing, and I turn around like an hour after, and he's built a DJ booth with tarpaulin over it in like an hour. And we're like, it's happening. I can't believe this is happening. So we started like getting obsessed with like how we can make it good for folk. So we like we dug like a pit for a girl's toilet, got black cloth and cornered this wee bit off because like the girls only want to piss in front of everything. So we made this wee bit. I went to the charity
That's respectful,
shop. Mate. I know 100%. But we were like zoned in on how we could make this like next level. And then I went to the charity shop the night before. Bought fleeces and jackets for every day in case they were cold. Bought hundreds of crates of water, free booze it was. Then we were driving past a house, and they had like metal bins, just old metal bins, with like fire pit. So they gave us 3 of them, right? Took them back. Like we had it all set week before, managed to like cover it up.
Sound system, what you did
So,
for that?
well, that was the next thing. Because Roos, the boy Roos, who gave me the mixer and taught me how to produce, he was like obsessed with making our own 10 sound system. So he had like old Samson speakers and an amp. And then Stu built a case and made his own sub and spray painted the 10 logo on the sub and that, right? So it was mental.
So what, he literally just had the speaker and he constructed a case in around it?
Aye.
Fair play.
Aye. And they were mental, mate. I think they were like 15-inch, yeah, Stu, mate. Stu McCallum.
I've always wanted to do something like that.
And then so it was like proper underground though, like, and for a town at Ayr, like they didn't really know what was happening because we were doing it properly with high quality like graphics, taking care of folk, sound system. We always wanted to be perfect, and I think that was kind of how it fell off though, because we're getting so obsessed, and we ended up just running out of venues and places that would have us. It kind of petered out a bit.
How many did you actually do?
11.
And that's
did 11
in that same spot?
No, we only did one
total.
illegal rave. We did 2 illegal raves, but the second one was a bit dodgy. But the most mental bit about that night was we done the night, but during the day I was like, how are we going to get folk up there? Because it was away in a forest. And I was like, right, I'm going to Arnold Clark. So I went to Arnold Clark with some of the money, and I was like, how much can you give me a van for? They were like, what? I was like, I need a van. I've got sound system equipment I need to take somewhere. Like, right, okay. 90 quid. There you go, thanks. Took the van, parked it outside, right? And then at the end of the night, I was like, right, I'm just going to go and tell everybody we've got a van outside. So I was like, went round the night, everybody was like, where do we go now? Because we finished at like 1:30 because the music studios didn't have a license.
Right, okay.
So I was like, right, there's a van outside. Told as many folk. And I'm thinking, there's only going to be about like 5 folk waiting outside. So I walks out, mate. There's a queue of 30 folk out the back of this van. And I'm like,
you're not fitting in there.
No, what have I done? So I open the door and I'm like, right, jump in. And it was just the Snapchat location thing had just been like brought out, so folk could see where you were. I was like, right, every day, turn your location off. I'm getting done if we get caught here. So like they all turned it off, shut the door. Mate, they were all in pitch black, and I drove up, and my mate's like punching the ceiling, singing Rangers songs, and I'm slamming the brakes. I'm like, oh you, sit down, and he's like, sorry. Pulls up, and we'd put like fairy lights all down the clearing, and to this day, folk are like, that was the best night of my life, because it was only like 50 folk had committed, because it was unknown for folk. Yeah. So, but they were just buzzing, and I still get folk like saying to me, and folk got like that tattoo I've got, folk have got it tattooed on them after that night, just because they were so involved in the movement. That's what's
definitely made it like a good thing for you, because you cared so much about the consumer, and making it the best it could be for them, because you could have quite easily fucking cut corners and be 100%. Like, right, let's get a shite sound system.
100%.
They can get fucking Ubers, taxis there, but he's actually stood out and took that care of them. That's probably what brought them back as well. 100%. You know what I mean? That's an experience.
I agree, and it was that, like, just caring for folk, and because again, like the commercial clubs, they just see pound signs as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it was to give that care back to folk and show that like we're here for yous as well, and that skyrocketed us, and we sold out every event after that. But we never ever booked any DJs. That was another thing we never did.
Did you want to?
Nah, not really, because it was going so well, and I think it would have created a different atmosphere than the family vibe we'd created, because they were there to see the residents now, because they were pals with them. So like it just was so special, mate. Like genuinely, I know I'll never touch the crowds we had those nights, because there's just such a different vibe about it. Yeah, mate, for sure.
I think with nights, it took me like, I've been through a couple of nights of my own. I actually started in the Ice Factory in Perth. With a night called Come Play, actually. So it was a commercial night. That was when I was like 18, and I was kind of DJing in Perth, and I was like, I could see a vision here of something different. So I did that, and the first night was very good. Everyone down, and I was like, class, we'll do it again. Like 15 people showed up next night, so I was like, fuck's sake. Came through to Edinburgh, started a mash house, a night called Skin Deep. It was. I hate the name now. I look back at it.
But it would have been relevant back then, man.
But yeah, I was like,
house and stuff like that. Yeah.
But then I got offered Cab Vol to do weekly. The G1 said, "Do you want to do weekly at Cab Vol on a Thursday night?" Yeah. So I was like, right, Cab Vol, get a Cab Vol when I was in halls in uni. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Weekly nights, and I found out that it was a lot harder than you think. And doing weekly nights, you'd have one night where it was rammed, and then the next night it would be dead, and it was so demoralising.
Promoters, being a promoter is hard, man.
So I kind of like, after that, I was like, reevaluated everything, and that's when I was like, right, I want to go. It started Odyssey. I want to go massive with that. Massive guest. I got Patrick, who was the first guy that we booked. And since that, obviously, that was amazing that Patrick did it. Because I was still a really young promoter.
Patrick definitely had a special place for Edinburgh in his heart.
He does, for sure.
Because the story behind that is he
went to uni here, didn't he?
Yeah. He went to uni, and he'd always gone to Cab Vol, was his club, and he used to hand in mixtapes, and he never played it. He never got the chance to play it, and he'd always played for Derek and Simon at Night Vision before. So I think, I just put in an offer, just say, do you want to play Cab Vol, not expecting much, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was just like...
But the brilliant thing about what happened was it was that busy that, like, Cab Vol was like... The ceiling was sweating.
Yeah.
Like, it was that fucking busy. Like, the ceiling was actually dripping. And the mixer cut out. The electrics cut out in the main room. And he actually moved through to the room too to play.
Patrick did?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
So, it was like... Thank fuck it didn't happen earlier in the night. It happened because we got a 5 AM license for it. And this is when Patrick was just like... I mean, he's obviously massive now, but this
Yeah.
is when he was on this
Yeah, it's
trajectory.
definitely going up. Yeah.
And he hadn't played Edinburgh for like 3 years or something. And we obviously booked him at Cavall. And Cavall, you know, it's obviously seen big DJs there, but I mean, like someone at that
It's
level
history, Cavall.
for that. And sold out in record time. And we got a 5 a.m. and it got to like 4 or something in the morning.
It
just
was
cut
just pitch
off.
black. Like,
Did
fire
you
alarms
get
went
much
off
of a
and
drop
shit.
off? Did you get much just
A
walking
few,
in?
but then everyone went through to room 2.
That's good though.
And-
They were obviously loving it then.
Yeah.
And Patrick played.
So was he.
Yeah.
He played before it came out. I think it was Final Credits by Midland in room
Yeah,
2.
yeah.
Like before
yeah.
it came out, and everyone was just like, "What is this tune?"
But he was like playing on like, because at the time Cavall didn't like have the best decks in that bit, so he was playing on like 900s
Yeah.
and like an
Oh, they
old,
were shite.
like 850 mixer which has got fucking rust on it.
Yeah.
But he was just so like keen. He was just like, yeah, like these people have come here to see me.
Yeah.
I need to put on the show that I fucking
Well,
promised.
That's it.
and
Which
then-
I love. That's like hands up. That's a fucking
But
big
that-
move to do.
The thing is with that, like getting obviously Patrick to play that first show. After I've had that, like any agent I went to, I says, right, I've had Patrick. They were like, give me anyone. So I got Scream first open to close tour in
Amazing,
Edinburgh.
yeah.
We played 7 hours in Cavall.
Yeah.
And just that was the start of it. So
Where did
Class.
how did like you and Patrick come about? Was Trick your first signing?
oh yeah.
As a solo artist though, I've
Yeah.
got another alias. It's an acid house duo called Granary 12. But we've been signed to Balkan Vinyl. And like so Josh Posthuman runs his own vinyl label called I Love Acid.
Right, okay.
And Josh had signed Granary 12 tracks. It's me and Stephen Simpson that do it. And Stephen had a record out on Lobster Theremin, but I don't know if you know the sub-label 10 Pills, mate. There's a sub-label
Another
called
10.
10 Pills, mate. Another 10.
I don't like the
So
number.
coming soon.
I don't like the number 10.
I love it, mate. Love it, me.
I don't care about 10.
So what? Stephen had a huge release. Like it was the very first 10 Pills record, and it blew up. Like in the underground world blew up. So Stephen had a boiler room in Manchester, and that was through Josh Posthuman, and he did it under his own name, Stephen Simpson. But we just started making tracks, and he played this track we'd made in our bedrooms to 800 folk in Grilla in Manchester in the boiler room, and it went off.
Oh, really?
So we were like, oh, let's make another one. So after that, we made one called Mank Mania, just off the buzz of being in Manchester,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it at Mank Mania booted off as well. And that was the first time I'd had exposure to my tracks getting played at festivals. And Blessed Madonna played it all round our Australian tour, and that was like
That
started
must mean
talking to
some
her,
buzz,
started
man,
started talking to Maria and stuff like that. So she was playing Granary 12, and I was like, this is a buzz, like this is what I want to do. But also, like, I'm quite intense when I'm making music, and I just rinse tunes. And Steven's like, he's like up and down, like comes and goes. And I think I was just constantly making my own solo stuff in the background of Granary 12, because that was the focal point at one point. I was just going to go Granary 12, and I was like, but I'm just going to keep putting a tune out. I free download my SoundCloud a month.
Yeah.
On Artist Union, so they can so I'm still getting like followers to my SoundCloud and
How
still
did
building it
you
up.
find the kind of response to you putting these free downloads out? Was that a good
Unbelievable,
response?
yeah. Because I had one out called The Realm, and it's on like 500,000 plays now,
Uh-huh.
and that was a free download, and that was the one that booted off first. And then I said to Stephen, like, I'm gonna keep making my solo records, and he was doing the same.
Right.
But we had that kind of lull where we weren't making any Acidy, and I was just making my own stuff. And then all of a sudden, like, I was like getting such a bank of tunes up, and then I was like, right, I might start sending these to labels. But I didn't know, because what I was making was so like, it was like techno and house and acid all into one. So I was like, I don't know what label would suit that, because they all have genre specific labels now where you have to have a certain sound. And then I saw Trick's SoundCloud open up, and I was like, I know Patrick would play a lot of these tunes. So it was
Shoot
just
your shot.
yeah. So I seen it, and I was like, but I was only like, I was making tunes on a laptop and headphones. I was living in my mate's spare room, and then I was going and mastering the tunes in my car. And I was like, there's no way labels are going to sign these. Like, this is the most ghetto setup ever. So I made Dorian. And
He's
yeah, what do you want to do?
Old Davy
But he's-
McGrogan.
let's have like
Yeah.
the interval just now.
Sorry about that, guys. Quality Polish had to step into action to deal with some unsavoury characters. So we're back. Last time we had a bit of an last podcast we had an intermission where we.
So yeah, well, we take off from where you were. You were talking about, what was it, like your tunes
How I
in the
met,
car?
how I met Patrick, and so I was mastering my tunes in my car, making them in headphones and a laptop in my mate's spare room, like proper ghetto setup, man. Aye. And the first one I made was Dorian, and like I was saying before, I didn't know what label would take my sound because I was kind of doing my own thing as well, and it's hard to be original but get signed to a label that you like because they're all sort of genre specific or have a certain feel about them.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent Dorian to the Trick demo email, and Patrick's tour manager Morgan Bennett got back to me and he was like, "This is class, like Patrick's just played this to 20,000 folk at Medusa Festival in Spain or something like that." But I'd just moved down to my mum and stepdad's in England at that point.
Right.
So I was like, and sort of in between, like, don't know what I'm doing here, like music's not taking off, like I've got a degree but I don't want to be a teacher. So I was kind of like up in arms, and then I just got a full-time job down in England, and this was about a year and a half ago.
What were you doing?
So I'm still doing that job just now. I'm still just working in a warehouse down there, but like it was just to get by because the plan was go down, move in with my mum and stepdad, get the financial situation sorted out, get a job, get some money behind me, and then Trick release comes out, then I can kick on. But before that, no one kind of knows the kind of in-between stage, and that's where I was at until I got that mail for Patrick's tour manager, Morgan. And I woke up and I'd been tagged on Instagram and I was like, what's this? And it was my tune playing to like 20,000 folk. So I jumped up, I was like, tears streaming down my face. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Next thing, Patrick Toppins messaged me on WhatsApp. I'm like, what is going on here? What is going on here? So I'm like fucking rapid typing. I'm like, hi mate, how are you? Big fan by the way. And Patrick is pure sound. He's one of the most genuine, one of the most genuine guys. So down to earth and caring as well.
Yeah,
rarity in the scene these days.
For sure, mate. And Patrick was just like, if you've got any more music, send it my way. So I was like, straight on, headphones in my bed, headphones, laptop. Started making tunes, and I made Street Rave that week. And it
only took you a week to.
Yeah, but I made Street Rave in like an hour, just for the feeling of I was just buzzing. And then I sent him Street Rave. It was called White Strike at first, and I was like,
White Stripe?
Yeah, White Stripe. I don't know. I like the cider. I don't know why. I think I had a bottle of it beside me or something, just pouring that down. I drank White Stripe. And I was like, I'd sent it to Nervous Records, actually. I've never told them this. I've sent it to Nervous Records, right? And Andy for Nervous Records took 2 weeks to come back to me. But that version wasn't the one I sent to Patrick. So, you know how in SoundCloud you can replace the file, but it still keeps the same link? So I'd went quickly in before Patrick gets his hands on it, changed it, and then I called it Street Rave. And Patrick came back and he was like, oh my God, this is unreal. Like, this is going to be big or whatever. And I was like, are you for real, class? Let's do an EP or whatever. And he's like, let's do an EP. We'll do Dorian, the first one, that, and then I made a tune called The Gaffer. And because it was my very first solo EP, I wanted the boy Roos, who taught me how to produce, gave me my first mixer. I wanted him on it, and he used to do rapping when he was younger. So I was like, mate, do a vocal for me. And he started saying like The Underground or something like that, and we started running with it. So on the first Trick EP, there's The Gaffer featuring Roos, because it had him on it. I thought it was like a good full circle story to come back to. And then Dorian and Street Rave lead track. And that's pretty much how I got interacting with Patrick. But the first time I properly met him face to face, I was going to Creamfields just as a punter. And I was like, mate, there's like a viral video opportunity here, because if you play Street Rave at Creamfields, I'm going to be howling. So he's like, his tour manager Morgan was like, come back. If you're going there, just meet us at the fence at the stage. We'll try and get you over.
Cool.
So I went over. Morgan's there. He's like, here's some wristbands and that. Like the fence. And I'm standing there like, and Patrick comes over to me and I'm like, you alright, mate? What's happening? And he's like, oh, your music's amazing. I love it. Like, love that you're part of the label. Like, I've got such a buzz about you and stuff like that. And I was like, thanks so much. I know you'd been playing Street Rave in DC10 and clubs in Ibiza. And he was like, I said, are you going to play it today? And he was like, I'm not too sure. And then he goes on Creamfields and opens his set with Street Rave, and I was like,
fuck.
mate,
That must have felt
honestly,
unreal.
the best feeling ever. Like
that video's class.
that,
Like,
yeah,
pure
mate, that
euphoria.
was like that was the point where it was dreams into reality, and it was like, this is what I've been waiting for. Like, this is why I've been grinding so hard. And I come off the stage, right, and I just burst into tears. And see, backstage at these events, though, there's like pompous, like folk that aren't there for the music, and they're walking about like that.
We know many of them, don't we?
Guy comes over to me, right? Guy comes over to me, and I couldn't believe it. So I'm howling, and the guy comes over to me, and he's like, "Someone died." I'm like, what? I was like, "Someone died. You all right there?" And I'm like, "I am fine. He just played my tune." And he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It's just because you were crying." I was like, "You just played my tune for the first time, like buzzing, mate."
What do you fucking expect?
And I was like, that just for that day on, mate, it has just been so life changing for the mentality wise. Like, that's when I started believing in myself, and I was like,
do you think I give
do
you more
have
like of a drive? Aye.
for sure.
And see
mate,
when
like,
you sent,
for sure.
see when you obviously you sent your stuff to Trick. Did you send it to how many other labels did you send it to?
Nervous. So I sent it
So
to just Nervous, and because I kind of knew it was good, but I just didn't know. It was like I love Nervous, like legendary label, great look, and they bring out different stuff, but just for the heritage they have as a label, Nervous Records is just like iconic. So I always wanted to be on Nervous.
So it was like you say, like your goal was Nervous.
Nervous, and Trick was like number one, because I was like, I really want to be part of this. I know it would suit me. And when Patrick took Street Rave 2 weeks later, Andy at Nervous came back and said, "Oh, I would definitely take this," and I was like, "Oh, sorry, man. Like, it's went like Patrick's got it." And that then I never really had goals. It was just like, if I can get on a label, then it will give me the motivation to keep doing this.
Make better.
And for there, just such a mentality change. Like, I've got something here. Like, this is. And when Street Rave came out again, it like just sent me to another level of like, oh my god, like, this is what I'm meant to do. This is what
I think I'm a bit of a not a crossroads, but basically what I've been doing is I've been stockpiling some tracks, all ready to send out to labels. Not sent them out to anyone, but I actually did send them to Infuse, and I got an email back from Rich in XT, and he said, "Mate, stuff's class. Send me the downloads." So I mean, that's my style. Well, kind of, probably the route I'd be going down. And I got an email back from him, and I was buzzing off that.
Yeah.
But the masters weren't ready, so I've been getting the masters already, and I'm prepared to send them out in the next probably month or so.
Yeah, but they'll master it for you, will they not?
Well, I just thought I'm just going to get everything done.
Because I don't like all my mastering is it's like a preset on Ableton, Audio Effect Rack, go to mixing and mastering and just drop one of them on it, and that's all I do to send it. I just send it, and then if they like it, they know it's going to get a good master on it. So like, you either like the tune or you don't.
Would you say, for like producers or DJs out there, would you say the best?
For sure.
Just go with what you feel's right to you.
Yeah, and whatever, if it sounds banging to you, it's going to sound banging to at least one other person.
Yeah.
It might not be that label, but it might be another label. Yeah. So just like,
consistent,
I don't waste time on mixing and mastering, because like when I'm in the moment of I'm making a track, I like to keep the soul in it and just run with it. And then at the end, if there's a few tweaks of levels I need to do, then I'll do that. But if I obsess with the mastering, I would nowhere near I would get no tunes done at all.
Because you find you're constantly going back, and we spoke about this with Kenny. It's like, when do you know that your track is like perfected in your mind?
But see, some of your, so you talked about your track Realm. See some of those free downloads, right?
Yeah.
Do you go back now and look at those tracks and be like, oh, I wish I could do something better, or do you still like them?
I don't like them.
But they're still
that
you've decided
at
to keep them
at that point. So I see. It's pure weird, but like, I see my music as like a journal of my life, right? So see, as soon as I listen to that track back, that's the point. That takes me back to that mindset I was in when I made that track. So there's a tune I made called Fortitude on my SoundCloud, and it was when we were in the middle of the 10 movement, and that takes me back straight to being in that woods with all my mates, and like, I love keeping them on my SoundCloud, because it also shows people, like, they can go on my SoundCloud and go right down to the bottom and listen to this like proper shit tunes I was making back then.
That's why I get Checketts, because I'm like, if I'm sending it to a label, right, I know I've got four like quality tunes, but I've still, and the other ones I'm like, they're good, but I wouldn't want a label to go, look down and be like, oh, that's not that good, that one.
But again,
and then
that's
don't
the
sign me
point you
because
make.
that's my thinking.
A
I'm
lot
like,
of people think differently, but for me, I feel like what I want to do is take people on the journey with me, and
Yeah.
I feel like if they can go down my SoundCloud and see how shit I was at the start, it gives them confidence. Is like, well, look what he's done now.
that's a good way of
and
looking at it.
that's why I keep them on there. I've said
It's
to
almost like the
said to my
blueprint
manager,
to who
it
you are,
is
yeah.
like why hide that? Like I was shit at one point. Everyone's got to start somewhere. And when what I started doing, and it was sort of like it kind of scaffolded my following on SoundCloud, is I would put one out a month, and I set myself a goal. I'm gonna make a banging tune once a month, no mastering, don't send it to any mastering, don't send it any mix it, just do it all myself, because then I can hear myself when I listen to my SoundCloud. Oh, look how far you've came.
Yeah, you
And
can-
it's a confidence booster as well. It's just to keep the motivation up. And from that, I think before I was on track, I had like 3,000 followers on SoundCloud alone just by
That's good.
like you have to follow me to download my tune. And that was just from that. And when the realm booted off on SoundCloud, again, it gave me all those followers and listeners or whatever, and I put the realm on Spotify, and it put up my monthly listeners and stuff like that. It's just like wee things like that. But like you said, it is like I want to show folk the journey I've been on, and
That's
if
a good
someone
way.
can go back
your
and look and
progression.
go, like, that is mince, but like, look what he's doing now. It shows them that you are going to get somewhere if you keep grinding. If you put the hours in, it's not going to always be this shite.
It's looking at that progression again. Like we can see that you started off at this point,
Yeah,
moving on 2-3 years down the line.
yeah,
But now at this point, we can see that like your styles change, and it's as you said before, talking about the different styles and what influenced you at that time.
yeah,
Is like they're shadowing like what you're doing in your music.
yeah.
Which is like a good progression
Yeah,
to
yeah.
have, you know.
And off that as well, you get like I've had people say, "Oh, can I remix this tune that's 3 years old on my SoundCloud as
Yeah.
well?" And it's like, but if I hadn't had sort of the platform that Trick gave me, they wouldn't even have been looking on my SoundCloud. Do you know what I mean? But then you've got the hardcore fans that have been there since the free download days,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it just creates a community. And it just adds a bit more specialness
So I'm
about it.
like, obviously, I'm going to be sending my stuff out soon. But like, obviously, with clubs not being on, you had the advantage of your track being played at a festival.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing. Do you mind releasing stuff obviously now you've got your break, but you know before, you know, you had your track getting played to a festival, and obviously a lot of my stuff's like sort of
Just
really underground.
You've not been able to see
Yeah.
it in a club.
And you know, it would be good to get that sort of road test it up.
For sure, but if you believe in your music that much, then it shouldn't really matter. It
Yeah.
shouldn't really matter, but if you think about it though, it did get tested in festivals and stuff, but Street Rave didn't come out till a year after,
Yeah.
right in the middle of lockdown. So I'm thinking, right, this is my chance, this is my break.
Mhm.
But also, it got released in May of last year,
Mhm.
which was right in the first lockdown.
Yeah, like right.
So
in
that's
the midst of it,
I'm biffing out, like, this is my break, is this going to fuck it up?
Yeah.
But Patrick said, listen, we're going to be releasing tunes all throughout the year. This will give you a platform to and the amount of labels that have reached out to me now just off that, I'm so glad I did it. Like,
Yeah.
if I hadn't done it, like, I wouldn't be doing anything just now. I
Aye,
would still
so-
be having that battle in my brain, like, when is this going to
When's
kick
it
off?
going to be ready?
And I've got the next trick one. Patrick played it at the Terminal V live stream called "Tell Me Something Good,"
Right.
and everyone's like the promo of that, and everyone's like choking for it to come out. And because I sampled Shaka Khan, we've had to wait for ages, but it's coming out in June, and we've said June. But like, even if there is another lockdown, I'm just gonna go with it because how well it went the last time. Do you know what I mean? I can't keep holding myself back just because the government can't sort of shit out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
What's the process of clearing a sample then?
oh, it's murder, mate. Brutal. It's especially with something like the "Tell Me Something Good." I've used the full Shaka Khan vocal, and like
Was
Stevie
it an
Wonder.
was it an acapella?
Yeah,
Aye.
Stevie Wonder produced the original tune. Like, so what we've had to do is get it resung, but we went to like this like
Oh, so you've actually
yeah,
had to really
full
completely
thing
redo it?
resung. But I guarantee
Oh,
a
wow.
lot of folk don't hear the difference because she's so good. Like, I was buzzing when I got it back because it was like so spot on. But again, like, they'll be giving like publishing rights to them and
Yeah,
stuff.
okay.
Like, so it's such a ball ache, mate.
So
and I
the
don't
trick deal with
recommend
all
it.
that then, the resung bit, or did
But it come like, so the track gets signed, and then whatever deal you've made with them, and then there'll be like if there's samples to be cleared, however much that costs to be cleared, will come out the pot of the track. So the track keeps selling.
How
you
much
get every
roughly,
6 months.
How much is it? Do you know for that one?
No, I don't know. They don't tell me until I'll get like an invoice or whatever. And
And
I'll get like
out in June.
June. So, well, music releases why I've got Shall Not Fade coming out in April.
Nice.
And then I've got a mix for Shall Not Fade. It's sort of like a promo mix, but it's on Shall Not Fade as well. So they're bringing out my mix. And then the 5-track EP comes out. And then June is Trick 2, Return to Trick. And then Unknown to the Unknown, DJ House's label. It's in August. So I've got such a good lineup of like mixes and tracks coming out.
So obviously
man,
you've got Shall Not Fade coming out,
yeah.
And Unknown to the Unknown.
Yeah.
So did they get in contact with you then?
Well, we'd been in contact with Shall Not Fade because I think like obviously my first EP coming out on Trick, I wanted to keep it like Trick and sort of more underground labels because that's like where my heart is. My heart's in the underground. It always has been. So I think what I wanted to do in between the 2 Trick EPs, because like Trick's booting off the now, like it's going so well, so I didn't want just people to like see me as he's just releasing on Trick, like it's just all he's doing.
It's right.
So I think like to show people more where my direction, where I want to go, the Nervous Records one was perfect. Like it came out in December there, like Radio 1 played it loads, like all the DJs, and getting that Nervous Records release, like I said, was one of the first I wanted to do. So Trick, then Nervous, to then go to Shall Not Fade. It's another kind of direction.
You're just kind of ticking off.
Yeah, it is, mate. Yeah. Like I had this list I wanted to do, and like now I'm like, where the fuck do I go after this? Because I love these are the labels that I love. So it's just like, again, it's being creative of where you want to take your career, and I think getting these labels under my belt should set me in good stead when we can get back out playing.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about with the Terminal B as well, because they're going to do the all-nighter show.
Yeah, well, it was originally, that was my very first Trick. So obviously it's an event series and a label Trick.
Yeah.
So Patrick was like, listen, we're going to do a Trick Scotland and we're going to do it in Edinburgh in Terminal V, and we want to put you in the lineup. So the poster came out and it's me, Elliot Adamson, Cynthia, Melody, Floor Plan, and Patrick, and I was like, oh my god, mate. And I couldn't play it. It never went ahead because lockdown.
This is the thing, yeah.
And it was so gutting, man. And I was so buzzing because like I was like, how on earth am I in the same lineup as Floor Plan? Like, what is that about? And I was just so buzzing. And then Budapest, I was meant to be DJing in Budapest this year for Trick. And Salta, DJ Dion was on that, and Eats Everything.
So I take it, are they doing like a series of festivals?
Yeah, so they do. Well, it is a label and an event series. Right, like it was never just one or the other. They were doing Trick events
so
as
like
they were running. Yeah, as it's huge.
So obviously, with the lockdown and everything, there's been a bit of controversy with these playgraves and stuff.
Playgraves, yeah.
And obviously, some people have done them, some people haven't.
Yeah, I've been asked to do them.
Yeah.
I have been asked to do them.
What's your thoughts on it?
No way, man.
Yeah.
It's just nuts, man. Like
I don't get it.
Like I can't say don't put League of Raves on because I've said I've put one on
before.
But
it's different.
But see when there's a pandemic, I think it's so insensitive
thing,
for sure, mate. And it goes against everything that the scene's about. It's being collective, being together.
Yeah,
the escapism of like going somewhere that you don't have to care what's around you. You're not going to get judged by MD. You're there to dance and have a good time with your mates.
I find it really
Whereas a playgrave, like what is that? Like I don't understand it because I don't think personally it's what dance music's about.
No.
It's about letting
it's
yourself go.
Its models,
Yeah, and what are they doing it? Are they doing it for money? Are you like, why are DJs doing it? Are you doing it for like? I don't see the benefit.
I mean, a lot of the guys that do it get huge fees anyway.
Yeah,
and for sure. But they're jeopardising a lot of promoters booking them now because I don't think a lot of them.
I wouldn't even say it's just the promoters as well. I'd say like the whole name.
Yeah.
Like if you, especially given that it's a global pandemic, nobody's maybe doing anything right now.
And we all want to get out though. That's the annoying thing.
We'd all love to kill and play a big massive gig, but just got to understand that that's how life is.
Go make an album or something. Do you know what I mean?
Something productive.
But a lot of these guys that play them got ghost producers anyway.
Yeah,
the vast majority. But as well with the scene, no, they do. The scene, I think as well, it's a difficult one because obviously, you know yourself. There's a lot of people with power, and you don't. There's a divide now people are like, shall we book these guys or should we
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
You don't want to, if you don't book them, are you going to get booked for
What
their,
do you think
their
it's
show?
going to be
Or
like for yourself coming back? See, when we are out of lockdown and clubs are open, are you just going to jump straight back into it, or
Yeah.
do you think there's going to be like a natural,
like choking to get in, man? Like within the reason, if it's safe, I would 100% just go straight back because I'm like, this is what I've been
It's what you
chasing
love
for
doing,
about 8 years.
It's
Like
got
this
to
has
be, do you know
got
what I
to the
mean?
point, but it has to be within reason. You have to do it safely. I don't understand because I got asked to do one up here, and they were like, "We'll pay for you to come up for England, and we'll pay you for you." And I was like, "No."
what illegal?
Like, yeah, a legal rave. I can't remember where it was. It was round about here though.
You're about
East
to get
Coast.
named and
Yeah.
shamed?
Yeah. I won't need to put names.
I know there
I
was
can't
something
be arsed
going
with
on.
that,
I
but
know
it's like I didn't. I just said no because why have I worked this hard to get to where I am, sitting in my car mastering my tunes,
Yeah.
going through like
To then
being in
jeopardise it all.
my mate's side room, like living like a fucking weasel, like just not doing anything in my life, and then to just get the break and then go, nah, I'm gonna just go and put folk in danger.
Especially if you've worked that hard to get
It's
to the
just
point you're
morally
at.
wrong, mate,
Yeah.
for sure.
If you've put all your time and effort into getting to where you are now, to then jeopardise it all by doing something as stupid as like playing like an illegal rave or something, and then that's it. All that hard work,
Done.
all done.
Nobody wants to touch
It's
you.
going to be interesting to see how it all pans out because like there's
Yeah, it's
like
gonna be a
movement.
different
It's a
scene.
movement starting where I've seen stuff on Twitter with like open letters to like Amnesia and all that.
Same what?
Just like
To not book the folk that have attended
aye,
and the DJs.
and they're like massive people, obviously. So
I'm not
Can
mentioning
I
any
agree
names.
with them though?
no, I
Like,
do agree with them, but this is the thing. It's this sort of
Well, it's responsibility at the end of the
For
day.
sure,
You know what I
mate.
mean?
Yeah,
But-
for sure.
going back to obviously what's your sort of your strategy in terms of your branding for your artist?
Yeah.
I know when did your manager come on board? Like, what was the process of getting that sorted?
So Terry, my manager, that's only been in the last month or so, month
Oh,
and
really?
a half. Yeah, so it's pretty new to me. But as far as branding went, it was I always kind of like wanted myself to be the brand, but like I think some folk can mistake that as they're all about themselves, like, and but you know what Instagram's like, it's such a like different perception and wrong perception everyone has, and then it's like I hate social media. It's so toxic, but you have to use it.
Nah, you're right.
Unfortunately, it's just a part of life now.
It is, and I now only go on social media to post. Like I don't even go on it anymore because I'll just go and do something else, like play games or go on Ableton or whatever. So now when I'm going on to post, I'll look at what a few folk have posted and then I'll just like base my post on them or whatever, and that's all I use it for.
Just
But-
almost like a structured
Yeah,
kind of thing.
it is. It's just use it to post. Don't go on in because you start comparing yourself to other people and everything.
yeah.
You just go down these loopholes of overthinking, and it's
Like, well,
everyone's done
this
it.
guest has done this. Why am I not doing it?
Yeah, and everyone does it. We're in such a society now where you have to overthink because there's that many things going on where you have to. People like you've got wee girls wanting to put makeup on and be half naked on Instagram, and it's like. It's not the way it needs to be, but it's how social media is. It's just poison folk. But with that, like, because I even talking to you about my branding there, like, that's me overthinking that someone's going to see me posting photos of myself, and that's them thinking that I'm just all about myself. Do you know? And that's how
that's how life is now because we're at this stage where you're going for food or you're doing whatever. You take a photo, and then you maybe take 5 or 6, and you're choosing. It could be the simplest thing, but you're choosing. You're going through these photos to figure out which one's the best.
For sure.
Because you're like, I don't want people thinking, I've taken a shit photo. I'm going for a shit meal or something.
Yeah, but I think it's nuts. But in branding sense, I've just learned to not care, and it's the same with producing. Like with music, I think if you don't care, you get a bit further and you get more respected because you're not constantly looking over your shoulder at what someone else is doing. You're just doing your own thing, and that's the branding wise now is just like. If I've got a tune coming out, I'll post the artwork, then I'll post a picture of myself because it hits better when my face is on it or whatever, right? And that's how I've been branding it. Yeah, it's personal. But yeah, and then when Terry came on, she was just like, the way you're running it just now is perfect. You just keep doing what you're doing. And she just I run my own social medias and she just takes a back seat. And basically she's like, I've asked people in the music industry, like, what's a manager meant to do? Like, because I need to know like what they're meant to do. And all I've been told is, listen, it's all up to you. They're the 20%, you're the 80%.
Okay.
You tell them where you want your career to go, and they should do the things to scaffold that and build the foundation for you to go in that direction, and they'll help
Almost
you
like an
get
advisor.
to that. It is.
Aye.
It's like, it's more like, you tell me what you want to do, I'll get you there.
Yeah.
Not
This
right.
is how
Give
you're
me
gonna do
everything.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you what to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with the Instagram, like we obviously get a lot of promo shots for this, but it's not something I'm comfortable doing, really.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you
hate
see
it, mate.
everyone now, they go into these car parks and get, they're
Yeah.
getting all these photos
Yeah,
done.
mate.
And I was doing that years ago,
No, I get what you mean. It's scary though. Like that. See, because I'd been so underground before my solo career started kicking off. I would never put my face on it, and I would never take photos, especially running like afters and that in the woods. I would never put my face near
Yeah.
anything. With the
It's a
Granary
quality
12
Polish
stuff.
turn up.
Yeah, or the PC numpty turns up. But like with Granary 12 as well, when we were running that, we just post artwork and music and vinyls and stuff like that, and we keep it underground, just all about the music.
Yeah.
But with the scene and the music I'm making, I have to be kind of branded and it to be relatable to people. So that's why I've sort of put my face on everything, because it needs to be relatable. But see, at first, mate, my mum was like, right, come on, I need to take a photo of you. I'm like, no, I don't want to get my photo taken, because I had
hung on the wall.
I'm like, aye, and like it just reminded me of being in that commercial club and watching folk get their photo taken like on a night out and that. So it's like, I don't want a photo, and then I started learning like I need to, like, if I want to kick the brand on.
It's quite a recent thing though that like DJs get like photos and like like, because back in the day you turn up to a club and you play and then you build yourself up like that.
Yeah, it's all about the music.
But now it's all about how you're marketed on social media, unfortunately.
And it is, mate, and that's the thing that does annoy me, because as much as you, as an artist, a lot of artists, you want it to be about just the music.
Yeah.
But now you don't. I mean, image is just as much part and parcel.
Well, we
of
speak
it now.
about, like, we've got a strategy for how we, market this, for example, and just doing original content. We're trying to do. I know podcasts are not a new thing, but hopefully the way sort of we're doing it is slightly different, and just
to stand out.
Yeah, and obviously I'm interested in branding myself. I do all the graphics myself, so that's an advantage. That's an advantage.
It's all in-house run from everything.
Because you know what it's like getting, sending stuff back to designers and everything like that. So we got
period.
So and obviously the name, the Back2Back, we thought that obviously it's a term used in our industry loads, and a lot of people sometimes
it just
someone's like, oh, Back2Back.
That's class, man. I like it.
Because I was thinking about this for ages, eh?
Yeah, and we're going back and forth, phone calls, like, oh, like, we should do this, we should do that, and then we just both settled. Either one of us said that, and we were like, that's it, straight away. That's the one. Let's do it.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
like as well, like with I've obviously started a new alias, Stubbs 96, and I was like humming and whether to either have my name or an alias. But I think having this alias has made me focus a wee bit more on the sound.
Yeah.
Especially like the route I'm going down.
Yeah.
Because somebody could hear it and they're never going to just know it's you, and it could be somebody you know as well.
I think for DJing around Edinburgh, like my name's like it's fine because everyone, you've got a wee following. It's like funny, you know what I mean? So not that I'm a joke DJ, but
he's a joke policeman, though.
I'm a very serious DJ, just for everyone watching.
Do you think you'll ever go back to promoting nights then?
Nah.
I
think I might bring 10 back for a few. For a few mad ones. Now
the revival.
Yeah, and I've also
in the forest.
yes. And also like I think like folk are proud of me from here because it's such a small town, and with the press I've had with the releases, like a lot of folk have reached out to me from here, like big up for like still mentioning here, not saying you're from a city or whatever.
Well, this is the thing, because a lot of the feedback we get from people is a lot of people come from these small towns in Scotland, and it's hard.
There isn't much a scene,
No. I came from Perth to Edinburgh, and it was the best thing that happened to me because I could not progress in Perth.
Yeah.
I came through for uni, but everything, it was a progression of how I ended up in Cabville, started Odyssey, etc.
It all falls into place.
Which with creative things though, mate, I think it's like there's not a certain blueprint that works for everyone. Like you came to the city and that was your place, you found your place. Like my place was at home in here, but it doesn't make it any more special for someone that comes to a city and thrives. Like I never even tried it in the city because I love air so much. Like I don't know, I just always wanted to do good by ear, and like I feel it's no one goes there. There was no scene until we started. And we created our own scene, and that was special for us. And that gave me the motivation to go on and do things. So I think, for a promoter's perspective, I want to go back and do 10 just because everyone will be like buzzing to see each other again,
well,
and it is, mate. So
I think,
but apart from that, promoting, man, it's heavy going, mate. It's heavy going, and like I remember, and see, because we were so obsessed with like caring about the consumer and that, we're like, we just got ourselves so fried about it, and we're like, let's just chill out for a few months and
focus on something.
Yeah, I was saying to you off air there, obviously some of the nights we had doing Odyssey, Paddy was always, my driver picking up the DJs. But even one night, I remember one of the nights we had, we sold out, Gorgon City played, and Two Door Cinema Club turned up to Cabval.
No way, mate, I love Two Door Cinema Club.
They were on,
oh my days.
It was one of the busiest I've ever seen Cabval, rammed, and I'm on stage and you can't even move, and then it's like, Two Door Cinema Club, they're all on stage, like, because I had to put them on guest list. I was like, there's no way they're coming.
Yeah.
And then they're all on stage, and like the lead singer's like, can we get some champagne up here? I was like, mate,
champagne, this is Cabval. The roof's leaking sweat.
I'm like, look around you, but I was like, I've got a photo, it's on my desktop actually, and it's like a photo of like Gorgon City, Two Door Cinema Club, all on stage, and I'm just like,
in Cabval, of all places as well.
But I was so stressed. Like that night, even though it sold out like a week in advance, I was so stressed that night, and I can't relax. I'm like,
I'm the same, mate. Because because 10 was so kind of intimate, I made the point of going and speaking to everyone that was on the dance floor just to talk to them and say thanks for coming. Like, yeah, for sure, mate.
People are gonna remember that.
Yeah, and it's just like, thanks for coming. Like, even just that mention can make their night, or like that can make them feel part of the family. So, but then the downside of that is I don't give myself 2 minutes peace. I'm stressed out my box, and like everyone, see everyone like the folk that were PRing for me, and the folk that were running the sound, and the folk that were making like the graphics and stuff like that. Like Roos was making the graphics, Stu was fucking building something probably, and the boys that were promoting it, see, when I was like, when it was game day on the day, I would just be like bossing them about, and if something wasn't right, something wasn't right, I'm like, I fucking saw that, and they're like, I fucking hate you on 10 day, mate, I hate you, but you don't. If you want to run it like properly, that's how you have to be.
It comes down to your passion, though. You obviously want this to be the best it could be.
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
I think like there's a lot of things I'd do differently now than being a bit older. I think on the whole, the nights ran really well, to be honest. And I was still really young doing them.
Yeah.
But I remember I always used to get raging at the sign. Someone put up the fucking sign, and it never got done. I was sitting picking up DJs, and it was like opening to 2 minutes, and
the sign's not hanging.
Sign's not up, not straight. And
that's what I'm like.
I'm going off my nut, like.
That's the thing we've been chatting about earlier. Just even like our podcast in general.
Yeah.
Is like getting a good team of people you trust.
Yeah.
And getting the right people.
Massive, mate.
Like, I'm still really bad for micromanagement, but when you've got somebody that you can trust, that you know is going to do the job right, that's half the battle.
Yeah.
And you can focus more on what actually
matters.
Shout
out to the boys there.
Shout out to the boys.
The crew.
Meet the team.
Behind the scenes.
So, in terms of some gigs, like, what are some of the big gigs you've played since it's obviously, like, before you've just gone on tour, it's all sort of been cancelled, but has there been any ones you've...
But I missed out on them all.
Have you missed all of them?
Yeah, man. Nah, before Street Rave come out, I was playing in 24 Kitchen Street in Liverpool. I was meant to be playing in Radio 1's Big Weekend in Dundee.
Oh, nice.
Then Trick, the Terminal V all-nighter, was meant to be playing that in the August. So I had a really good run of events to boot me off.
Yeah.
And then December, I was meant to be playing at Terminal V. I can't remember what it was called. I can't remember. It was a December event. Oh no, it might have been Halloween. It was Halloween, Terminal V.
Okay.
And then that wasn't anything to do with Trick. That was just Derek that runs Terminal V got in touch. And I just had a really good run of gigs. And then there was Budapest coming, and there was like, I was meant to be playing in SWG 3. And the only gig I did last year was Street Rave. Did a socially distanced one outside, and I played with 808 State, K-Class, and K-Class, 808 State, and Michael Kilkey as well was there. And that was good because it was just I was able to play one gig. I was
Yeah.
able to play Street Rave out for the first time. It was 80 folk, social distance, sat down at tables like.
That's 80 folk that
And
you got there.
but mate, and they were all sitting down going for it, man. They were going mental. But apart from that, the rest has just been cancelled, mate. Like, and then Terminal V got rescheduled for Easter Sunday. I was meant to be playing there, and then that's moved on again to Halloween. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that because the lineup's not came out. But I'm playing with like Honey Dijon and Luke Solomon.
I'm
Mike
sure Uncle
Servito
Deco and
and stuff. Yeah.
But
Awesome, mate.
before
But apart from that, mate.
before that, what are some of the shows you've played or gigs
Play,
that you can that are memorable?
I played Granary 12 when Mac Mania came out. We played in Sub Club for I Am. Do you know the I Am? They run Tuesday. So Ross and Matthew that ran the I Am.
What was your first experience? Was that your first time playing Subway?
No, because actually I went and PR'd for the I Am after Air.
Right. Okay.
So in between, as I was DJing, like towards the end of me starting stopping promoting, I was coming up to Subby every Tuesday for the I Am, and they asked me to PR for them, and I started like doing the odd PR. So I knew Ross and Matthew already through that.
Yeah.
And then yes, Subby was nuts. It was unbelievable. But we did so that was I Am, Acid Rave, Granary 12, and all our mates came up from Air. But we started getting people from Glasgow booking us because we could bus 40 folk up from Air, and a club would just be full from
just
11 o'clock.
Everyone just wanting to go for it, yeah.
So we played, we did a crossover. There's a night called Electric Salsa in Lachita. Yeah. And so it's a boy from Air that runs that. Is part of the team called Craig Auld. Craig Auld
was talking about Lachita as well.
Yeah, so Craig Auld was doing Electric Salsa, and he said, well, Granny 12's like, you've just started your duo. Do you want to do a 10 crossover with Electric Salsa? And I was like, mate, I'm there. I'll bus folk up from Air. So we got 2 buses running to Lachita. Lachita's tiny. Like, it's like 120 capacity. And we had 40 folk in there, so it looked mobbed from 11 o'clock. And that, to this day, is probably the best set I've played ever with Stephen, that Granny 12 set. And then another really memorable one was Dixon Avenue Basement Jams booked us. So, again, I was in the studio with Kenny, making tunes. And I just said, like, listen, I've run my own night in Air, like, why don't we do something? And he was like, well, I want to book you and Stephen, Granary 12. That's sound. So Dixon Avenue Basement Jams, Granary 12 all night, back to back. And bus folk up again to Berkeley Suite. And
that's
again,
class.
filled the Berkeley Suite. And it
bring
was,
the crowd with you.
Yeah, mate. And then after, we went and we were playing at an afters till about 8 in the morning, never got home to Air till about 11. And then, that was unreal that night as well. But I've never really. Oh no, tell a lie. I did play. I played a massive one, but I wasn't meant to be playing. That's how I've not remembered it, because I went to a social distance event in Newcastle last summer, and Patrick was playing his own like thing. It was Virgin Media did this stage, and where everyone was in pens, and Jagger was playing, Sally C was playing, and Patrick was playing, and Patrick was like, mate, Jagger's stuck in her train for London. Do you have music with you? And I was like, you're having a laugh. You're having a laugh. Yeah. Obviously, I had them.
USB.
Obviously, I had them.
I'll see what I can do.
So I was like, of course I do. So I'm sitting in the hotel room, like typing up, getting tunes on a USB stick. So I ended up opening the first ever socially distanced event in the UK.
That's
right.
Yeah.
I remember.
There was thousands of folk, but like it was kind of weird because I didn't know when I was finishing, so like I couldn't plan the set, so I just played a bunch of tunes, and then as I was playing Street Rave, Jagger turned up, and Jag was like, oh, like she was like pure freaking out because she was late, and I was
She's
like,
who's this guy?
On you go, mate. I know.
No, I had the skits. It's when Patrick was up playing what was it? It was like the tour of Edinburgh. So
oh yeah.
So
it was doing like shops and everything.
So it was with Derek, and so yeah, he was going to the shops. He had about 4 different locations, right? So I was warming up in all the venues before Patrick.
Oh man.
And it was this Red Bull truck, right? And I had my USB, and it was
the DJ booth pops out the top.
Yeah,
so it's like an old land.
So I had my USB, right? It's in this bar, and I'm like, it's getting busy, and I'm opening up. So I go in this Red Bull truck. Everyone's standing right in front of me. It's a lot of people, and put my USB in, and like, right, okay, and I go into the link. The link's not working. And
You've
I'm
only
like,
got one USB.
one USB. And I'm
Schoolboy.
like, fucking hell, yeah.
Echo.
And
out.
people are just
What?
coming. So I'm playing a tune, right? And I'm like, oh, fucking hell, what am I going to do here? So I'm phoning. I was like, who's got USB? Like, I'm fucked. You know that way when you're just like,
Yeah,
I'm fucked up.
everyone's staring at you like, fucking can't. and basically, my mate had this USB, but he was just starting to DJ, and he was like, I've got this, and I put it in. But before I was waiting, like I was playing a tune, and I put the fader on, and I was like doing the effect, and then it was quickly going, and I was like, this is brutal, man. Like, and eventually my mate come with his USB, and I played like. Thankfully, I was only playing for about an hour till I went onto the other venue.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It was a link, but fucking hell, like that.
Well, at least you didn't get caught in an emergency
Biff,
loop.
that Red Bull truck, man. That's sketchy, man. It's a sketch, but no, that was really fun. Like,
Yeah.
I remember playing La Belle, and that was class as
Yeah.
well. So that was good.
To be fair, I'm not like, because I never got to do any of the gigs after Street Rave came out. I've not really done like massive ones, but like to this day, the best ones I've done is 100 folk crammed into a cellar in Ayr in 10, because again, like the
It's more
feeling,
intimate, yeah.
just the feeling of being in that movement at that time, just like, I still know I'm not gonna get crowds like that, because we were all there for the same thing. Like, everybody knew everyone,
they're
and it
for
was
you.
just
Yeah.
insane.
That's
mate,
why
yeah.
Sneakies is really good here. I love
Sneakies.
Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
play,
Have you played Sneakies
No,
before?
never. I promoted a night for the I Am at Sneakies, and it was sold out. And it was when, is the stage taken away in there?
So the stage is
You're on
the
the
DJ
dance floor,
booth
yeah.
used to be on the stage.
Yeah, that's
But
where
now,
that was.
now they've moved it, but it's actually on the dance floor.
Oh,
And
right.
the stage is literally just like.
Have they still got the stage just for
the
like
stage
a
is still
podium
there,
bit
but
to
it's
dance?
just like
That's
an
class.
extra wee bit, and they've got new lights.
Yeah.
Sneakies is
It's mad.
Now we
unreal.
need to get something sorted here with
Yeah,
yourself. We'll
definitely,
mate,
get like an Odyssey revival or something, eh?
Well, what kind of advice would you give to like younger producers and DJs to kind of get to the stage where you're at? You'd say.
Hard work. Like, you need to put the hours in. Like, I always say that, like, I've sacrificed so much to be where I am now.
Yeah.
Like, I've not talked to folk for weeks on end just because I'm sitting in the house producing. Like, you just need to put the hours in, but you also need to, like, it's easier said than done, but don't let the motivation get over you. When you get down about it, just keep going. Like, you need to keep, if you don't push through that, because at the end of the day, see if you can't get through that in your head, that you can't even just get through making tunes, then what happens if you do get your big break and you can't make music, and then folk are choking you for tunes, and folk are choking for tunes, you're gonna come up against more hardships touring or doing gigs and try to make music than you are just sitting focused on music. Do you know what I mean? So I think, like, you need to just work hard, persevere, and I think my mentality is something that has pushed on. But another big thing was me starting 10, because see, if I hadn't started 10, that was another big motivational change for me. Is like, these folk are here to see me. They were buzzing, like the buzz off my sets and that, and like seeing folk
slowly
like,
built up
I think
following.
it is, mate.
Yes.
But like, but seeing that feedback, live feedback of somebody listening to my tune that I've just played, or a set that I've played, and I felt like, oh, that was a cracking set, and like, I'm like, why can I not do this to other folk? Like, other folk can see this as well, not just my mates, or not just the 10 following, or not just another night's following that get buzzed by it. Let's try and show everybody it, and that's
global.
That's it, mate. That's it. You just need to have that belief in yourself. It's hard, man, because I know what it feels like to just be like, well, I was sitting in my mate's spare room, like, I'm like, what am I doing in my life?
If you're persistent and you're consistent with doing what you want to do, and you've got your heart content that I'm going to be a DJ, I'm going to be a producer.
Yeah.
I want to be, and you're
mate.
ticking off boxes now.
You
said you wanted to be nervous. You said you want to be shut up.
Yeah.
And Trick, and you're doing
for
them.
sure, mate. And I gave up my degree to do this as well, mate. You know, like, I always go back to that. Is like, as soon as I get demotivated, I'm like, no, this is what you're doing, because you gave up so much. I could have had money and a happy life or whatever. That's like, but this is what I've chose to do, so I'm going to do it.
It's actually,
and you just need to put the blinkers on and go with it.
It's quite funny because obviously you done teaching. You actually look like a teacher that I used to have.
All right.
A supply teacher, and he was always off his nut in the ice factory.
What was it, me, mate? It wouldn't have been me.
Anyway, right.
Well, it's been an
thanks for coming
pleasure
on, mate.
Thanks very much for having me, lads. It's been class.
Brilliant.
Cheers.
Oh, we've got a wee present for you, actually.
Oh, keep rolling.
Yeah, keep it rolling.
You what?
I forgot about this, you
Yeah,
know.
we've got a wee present for you.
No way.
And the bottle. He's got the bottle as well.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. It's got my name on it. It's the camera. Big time. Big time. Oh, yeah. Cheers, man. Cheers, man. Hey. That's class, man.
You're going to be playing some?
Oh, mate, I'll definitely put that on my repertoire. Oh, it's got your logo on it, too. Fucking key, man.
Yeah, boy.
Hey, now it's a party.